In this week's video, I have a Euro 6 DAF CF with missing mileage, stop notifications, and interface error issues. The customer needs this back on the road ASAP, so with the help of the Jaltest kit from ECLIPSE Diagnostics, we can get plugged into the OBD with the VCI and see what's going down from a fault code and topology perspective. With a quick check of my pass-through pin checker, I can see that the truck doesn't have any CAN communications on pins 6 and 14. And then I remembered, it helps if you turn the ignition on. Idiot. Now we're talking, literally. And with a quick check of comms on the VCI, it's on to Jaltest to identify our vehicle. A quick click on the auto VIN identification sees us into the truck, followed by a main system scan for the fault codes on the various systems. With our nice new topology view, we can see various faults on different networks, but today I'm only interested in ICANN, which stands for Information CAN. This network includes VIC, which is our Vehicle Intelligence Center, DIP5, which is the DAF instrument panel, and SWS, which is our steering wheel switches. So, down to VIC3, and we have 47 instances of CAN communication with the steering wheel switches, and 12 faults on our ICANN network. As you can see, the component in question is designated CC916 for Jaltest, and C916 if this was DAF's ECN codes. So, let's look at some diagrams and see where in the network these components are. Into VIC3, and our standard wiring diagram shows us CD358 in the centre, which is our VIC ECU. If we search for our steering wheel switches, you can see down here we have an end resistor in the steering wheel switches and one in the VIC, along with our CAN connection. Informative but incomplete data for me. If we use Jaltest's other amazing feature of dealer diagrams selectable here, we can search again for the steering wheel switches and utilise a more detailed diagram. That's better. Now we have our VIC with our wiring going through plug 101C, C standing for cabin, into our DIP, and then out into a clock spring, which wasn't in our other diagram. From here it goes into the steering wheel switches at the very end. With this information to hand, we can now carry out some functionality tests on the components involved. In the main menu, I can search for SWS3, which is our steering wheel switches, and open some measurements to see what functionality we have at the buttons, and if they correspond to my inputs. Do they work, basically? I don't know if you can make out the hole in the buttons, but they most definitely have seen better days, as these were sticking in and getting stuck on. With this issue identified, we best find our steering wheel switch connector. With this being a non-airbag model, I can get this whipped off and find a puddle of water in the steering wheel. I forgot these were water cooled. Looks like this water's been giving our plug a bath on every steering wheel revolution, as manipulating the plug unlocks DAF's secret disco mode. So with our ignition off, we can pry out the steering wheel switches with some brute force. Seeing as these are as much use as a chocolate fire guard, we won't be needing these again. Now with the steering wheel straight, I realised I needed something with a bit more grunt, and a quick swap from 3/8 to 1/2 inch sees this bolt come out. Now for the steering wheel. With my TruckTech UK puller fitted and the centre mark highlighted, I could hit this with the gun and pull the steering wheel off. Links in the description if you want one of these. With the steering wheel off, I can think about getting to that plug 101C, which is behind the dip unit. With the cover off the clocks, we can unplug our link connection to the light switch and get the bolts out of the instrument panel. With the plug undone for the dip, we can get the cowling off around the steering column now. 2 screws secure this in the top, and we have one in the bottom. Best take these ignition keys out as they always get in the way. I can now reach in to unplug our loom from the clock spring, which I hope is this one. I have a few cable ties to cut here which secure the looms to the steering column. Now to get this plug through the dash the easy way. If you pop open this panel, you can feed it through the gap and round rather than trying to push it through the centre bit of the dash. Also, we need to disconnect our steering angle sensor wiring here, just next to the ignition key transponder ring. Unlike the LF, this just pulls off the brackets, and we can then go about carefully fitting our new one on. You might notice the orange locking device. This ensures the clock spring remains locked until fitted, as turning it independently can break the wiring inside, which you can see in my LF clock spring video. With everything lined up, I can clip it in and pull the orange tag. We can then refit the steering angle sensor wiring plug, and after another check of the clock spring, we can feed the wiring back through the panel and into the dash. With our connector plugged in and our wiring routed, I can put some cable ties on this now to secure it to the steering column. With the wiring secure, it's time for the cowling to go back on around the steering column. Once this cowling's over the indicator, it's in with the screws. With the lower cowling on, I can throw the dip unit back in the dash and run the screws in to hold it in place. Only 4 screws to put the dip in. Someone must have dropped them down the dash somewhere. We can then plug our headlight wiring back in, fit the trim round the dip, and finally fit the steering wheel. I forgot about the water issue. Luckily, the driver had some toilet roll here. With the majority of the water mopped up, I could secure the steering wheel to a torque of in the same place as last time. And then slap some new steering wheel switches in. Note the cutout for the ribbon to fit these into the steering wheel. And with our steering wheel switches pushed in, we can connect them up, but not before more toilet roll. This should protect our £650 investment from some more water damage. And finally, throw this cover at the centre. So, is it going to work? Help if I had some keys, wouldn't it? Oh, it's like magic. Even the engine speed control buttons work. Not bad for half an hour's work. Now to clear the faults. So, what did you think? Easy enough to identify the fault when you have the fault codes in the diagrams? Answers on a postcard, or better yet, in the comments. If you want to see the DAF LF video where I pull the clock spring apart, I have a video link here, and I'll catch you in the next one. For the cock spring, oh yes!